Hi guys! Welcome to this week's episode of Zygote at Home, our weekly video series featuring Zygote's instructors, member artists, renters, staff, friends, and this week it's not just me. We have Zygote artist Bruce Edwards, who will be demonstrating how he makes screen prints from photographs in his studio. And then after that, I'm going to show you a very kid-friendly project. We will be making collographs. And you might not know that word. Collograph is a bit like the word collage, and I'm sure you know what a collage is. The thing they have in common is glue. So basically, a collage and a collograph involves gluing layers of different materials up. That becomes our printing plate, and that creates a raised surface for us to put the ink on. And it's very easy, very kid-friendly. We're going to make a butterfly today, so we'll also be talking a little bit about symmetry. And to start us off, though, we're going to go to Bruce's studio, and he will show us how he makes screen prints.
Hello, and thank you for joining Zygote at Home. I'm Bruce Edwards. I'm in my studio, and I was asked to give you a bit of a demo on what I do with my practice, which is silk screening from a photograph. So I'll show you what I start with, which is a Photoshop image, and it looks something like this. Now this is an image that I've already created, and you can see over here I've split the channels into CMYK. And then you can look and see what each channel looks like independently of each other. These are then output onto a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, because these are very small prints. And they end up looking a little bit like this. And so this is the cyan. This is the magenta. This is the yellow. And this will be the black. They get burned onto the screens that I've been using for years. These little square guys. And that's my little spray out booth. So the rest of the process is just printing. So you're going to, you burned your screen, you rack it up into your hinges so that it can be registered to the paper. So I'll register that, and then put on my cyan, then my magenta, then my yellow, and finally the black, and we will have my print. Okay, so now it's registered. You can see that that gap is gone. And I've got little things in the corners to position my paper, and that's still the first older print that I'm using to register the new print. So the first round of printing is done, and I have my cyan on the paper. Now it's important, if you're doing this for the first time, to rinse your screen immediately. Get it into a washout. Use a hose, spray it out, clean out all the ink. You don't want any ink left in your screen. It'll, screw it up for using it later. I've used these screens for, boy, better than a decade. Actually 2, because I made them in 1999 for a show I did in 2000. So they're still going strong. It's just, screen care. So this is the cyan on the paper. You can see how that came out. And this is part of the bigger dot patterns that I'm going to be working with on this print. But you can see what that did. Since I'm using the same tools throughout the process, I keep cleaning this and making sure that all of the wet ink is removed. I do not want contamination between my magenta color and anything that might be left on the squeegee or my mixing tool. Cleanliness. Wash your hands. So this is the cyan and magenta mixing on the print. And then I have taken one of these and set it up for registration. So again, I remove the little tabs, put them off to the side, put the paper underneath until it was registered to the screen, and then put my piece of paper tabs in place so that I have registration. See the difference between adding the yellow and not. At least I've registered up for my black. I'm going to flood the screen and print. Underneath there is just a piece of scrap that I keep using to clear the screen. My 4 prints are over there, and I'm ready to do the last layer. After the last pass, and there you go. Finished print. Not too bad. So we can compare this to the screen. So thanks for joining me in the studio today. I've just got a little more cleanup to do, and then I'll be done. And then on to the next print. Thank you so much. Support your local Zygote.
Thank you, Bruce, for showing us how you make those awesome screen prints. So now we're going to make our collograph. To start, here's what you need. Basically, it's pretty simple. The most important thing is you need glue. So this is just regular old school glue. You need that. And then you're going to need some scissors. I have regular scissors, but I also have some cool swoopy scissors. They cut a little swoopy line. And then I have a hole puncher. And then I have a pen. And then the paper that we're going to use is pretty heavy cardstock. Cardstock is just a very thick paper. So these are very, very thick pieces of paper. So we're going to use these to cut out our butterfly. And then this is the paper that we're going to print our image on, this larger rag paper. So we have that. And then of course we need some ink. So this is Speedball printing ink, or you can use craft paint or any kind of paint you have around the house that's water-based, can work for this project. I am going to be using a brayer. And we've talked about brayers before. A brayer is a printmaking tool that allows you to spread the ink evenly over the surface of your block. You can buy these at craft stores. You can buy them at art supply stores. You can get them online. They're pretty easy to find and they're not too expensive. And of course, you just reuse it over and over. And then I have 2 pieces of Plexi also. One's going to hold our ink and one I'm going to use to help glue down our image. So that's what you need. Now let's get started. So to get started on this project, basically I'm going to use one of these pre-cut pieces of cardstock as our printing plate. So this is what I'm going to be gluing our butterfly on. So this is how big it is. Now to start with our butterfly, a really easy way to cut a butterfly that is symmetrical is to fold your paper in half. That way, whatever you draw on it will be the same after you cut it out on the other side as well. Symmetrical means that it's the same on both sides. So if I'm going to do a butterfly, I will take my pen, do a little head, and then maybe do a big wing here, and then a smaller wing here, and then maybe the bottom like that. And actually maybe also, just to keep it interesting, we'll do a little antenna. Okay, so now you can see that I've got my butterfly, half of my butterfly drawn, and now I'm going to cut it out through both sides. So I finished cutting out my butterfly, and now for the big moment, when you open it up, Look, it's symmetrical. It's the same on both sides. So now I'm going to open it up. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue it right onto our plate. I know it's kind of hard to see because it's the same color. So I'm just going to take a little bit of glue. You do not want to use too much glue. Just do a quick lap around because you don't want too much glue on it, but you do need enough glue so that it will stick. And then you bring your butterfly in for a landing right in the middle of your printing plate. So we're going to put it down like that. Then I'm going to take one of my pieces of plexiglass, and this is a great trick. Look, you put this down and press, and that will make sure that the glue adheres very tightly to the surface of the paper. But this is just our first layer. Now we want to do some more decorations and fun stuff. So I'm going to do some designs on the wings out of cutout paper with my cool wavy scissors, which hopefully work. They were locked. Yeah, child-proof, right? Okay, so if I'm going to do something that's going to fit, I'm going to fold it in half again, and I'm going to hold it up to my little thing, my little butterfly, to make sure I don't make something too big. But I'm going to go like this, and then I'm going to do a little crazy design like that. And then down here, I will do kind of a similar thing, except this one will go like that. Okay, so now we're going to take our cuckoo scissors and cut these shapes out. Gives it a nice scalloped edge. I guess that would be the appropriate name. And see, I opened it up and I have the same on both sides. So that's going to go there, and that's going to go there. And then on the top, do a shape for the top wing as well. I'm going to cut the middle out with regular. And now we're going to glue them on. Before we glue them on, I'm going to punch some holes in these. So we can just do some added texture by adding hole punches. There's that one, and now we'll do the same on this one. So it's symmetrical on that side, and then maybe we'll do a couple holes on this one too. And a couple holes on this one. Now I'm going to add a build-up layer on the body too, but first I'm going to glue these on. So now I have the added layers here, and they're drying under our plexiglass. In the meantime, I'm going to build up make a little circle here for the body to give it a little added shape. So I'm just going to freehand cut a circle. So that's one circle there. And then I'm going to do another circle to go on top. Little circle. There we go. And then I'm going to do one more piece for the bottom. Just want to add as much texture and raised pieces as we can. All right, now I'm going to glue these on. Okay, so I built up a ton more layers on my butterfly. As you can see, now it just looks like an all-white collage. I used some scraps to make decorations on the wings, but everything is symmetrical, and I layered up. I even put a little face on it. You'll be able to see this better once we ink it. So I think this is pretty good, but I need to wait for it to dry completely before I move on to our next step. My collograph, well, my collage anyway, is now dry, and you can see all the cool little textures I have on it. Now we need to ink our plate. So I'm gonna put it right here. Here we have ink and a brayer. I'm going to ink up my brayer. You just kiss the ink and then you bring it down. Now see, this is too much. You want to get it evenly distributed on your brayer. This might be a little bit too much, so we're going to just even it out. Okay. Now we just go right over our collagraph and try not to get hair in it. Kiss the ink. Evenly. Now you can see our butterfly coming through. So we want to fully ink this plate up. And then I'll be right back to make our print. Now that we've inked our plate, this is the paper that we're going to print our collagraph on. So make sure you keep this paper nice and clean, and then very carefully take your fully inked collagraph. Now you can see the butterfly a little bit better. And we're going to land our butterfly as center as we can, right into the middle of the paper. Okay, and then put your hands down lightly, and we're going to hold it for just 3 seconds or so. Just like that. Make sure that it's all touching. And now we're going to flip. Well, first I'm going to wipe my hands off because my hands are pretty dirty and have a lot of ink on them. Got to stay clean, like Bruce said. Now we're going to flip this over, okay? So we're flipping it over. This is the back side. So this is the back side of the paper, so if we get paint on here, it's not as bad. Now you're going to take the palm of your hand and just rub over the surface of the butterfly like this. Give it a lot of good pressure, but you don't want the plate to move around or your collagraph won't work. And it looks like I got a little bit of pink. As you can see, I'm a big mess. Try to keep it as clean as you can. All right, now that I've rubbed, I think I've rubbed pretty much every part of it pretty good. Now we're going to pull our print. The moment of truth. Fingers crossed that this worked out and it looks great. So now we're going to turn it back over, flip it again, and I'm going to hold this corner down, and I'm going to take this corner and very slowly peel it away. Boom! We have a pretty good collagraph of a butterfly. What do you guys think? That's pretty good for the first one. One of the cool things about printmaking, though, is that you can make more than one, right? That's the best part about printmaking. We don't even need to ink this again. We can probably do another pull. It's not going to be as dark, but let's try it. Let's see what we get. So just land our butterfly in the middle of the paper, hold it down for a couple of seconds, flip the paper over. As you can see, I'm still very messy. Do not be as messy as me. And then we can rub it. It still has enough ink on it to make another print, but this one is going to look a little bit different because it doesn't have as much ink. Now shall we flip it back over? A minute. See how we do. All right, let's flip it again, and we'll see how our second edition came out. Cool. It's more faded than the other one, but still cool. Now, of course, you can re-ink your plate. You can ink your plate again. You can use a different color. You can mix colors. You can have more than one color, and you can do whatever you like. I hope you liked making a collagraph with me today. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Zygote at Home. And big thanks to Bruce Edwards for letting us see how he makes screen prints in his studio. If you like these videos and you want to help support Zygote in this difficult time, please click the link below in the description. You can donate there. Those funds will go to ensure that Zygote can continue our mission to share the love of printmaking with the world. Thanks, guys. See you next week.